So I'm building 52 new houses in the UK as an assistant site manager, and today I'm going to give you 7 fantastic reasons why new builds are amazing. As the video goes on, the information is going to become more valuable, and at the very end I'm going to give you an exact cost breakdown of how much of your money you could be saving by living in a new build. It might actually blow your mind. You're going to want to see it. Starting off quite basically, new builds are new, so you don't have the maintenance issues that you would have on if you were buying a house in the 1980s, for example. This house right now was built pre-World War II, and what you have is leaks from the windows, you've got leaks in the roof, you have issues with ventilation, you've got cracks in the walls, you've got rising damp coming through the foundations. It is a constant mental stress that you completely avoid by having a new build. So point number 2 is that modern new builds are designed for modern living. You look at the design of a new build and they've got a really nice ensuite, for example, or they've got a wide open kitchen with a lot of open area. You look at a kitchen that was built pre-World War II and the kitchen's very small, it's very narrow. New builds and the design of new builds, they're a lot more practical for the lives that we live nowadays, especially when you consider working from home as well. Now I think a lot of you will really appreciate reason number 4, but before we get to that, I just wanted to touch on number 3, which is safer and built to modern regulations. When you buy a new build, you have a 10-year guarantee. A 10-year guarantee. And if anything goes wrong within the 10 years of buying a new build in the UK, you get to claim it back. Buying a new build gives you reassurance that you shouldn't be spending more money than the initial price of the house. And I think that's a massive positive. And from that point, you've also got a safer house that you're living in. Electrics that are installed are brand new and they're a lot more safer, they're a lot more organized. You haven't got electric cables just running around in each direction. They are so precise that you could even look at a new build and know exactly where the cabling and where the wiring is, because it's all built by a rule book that all housing developers have to follow. And also knowing that the foundations that are built, you know that they have been engineered, they've been structurally looked after, they have been quality inspected to the highest degree to make sure that you're not going to have the long-term maintenance issues. Now we're around the halfway mark of this video now. I'm really excited to see your reaction when you actually understand how much money you could be saving when you buy a new build in the UK. If you are curious what £250,000 in the UK does get you, if you go in the description below, there is a link to the video that will basically show you everything that you need to know about a new build. The only thing that I ask from you is that you subscribe and you like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Reason number 4 why you should buy a new build is that you get to customize it. If you are in a certain situation, the houses that we are building on the construction site that I'm working on, we give the client and we give residents of houses that have already bought the houses before they've been fully constructed, we give them the opportunity to select from a few different kitchen models, from a few different bedroom models, from a few different living room designs, and I think that's super cool. Now before you hate me in the comments, I have to mention it. Reason number 5 why you should buy a new build is sustainability. Now houses that have solar panels on average can save up to £450 a year. Now I understand that you can install solar panels on an existing house, for example, but they're not going to be as efficient as buying one with a new build where the solar panels is literally built in to the functions of the house. But it gives you a really good insight as to how much you could be saving living in a new build. Now ultimately you have solar panels, but also you have electric charging also built in to a new build for your car. They have better ventilation. The air quality in these houses are superior compared to the ones that you would have, you know, in a pre-World War II house. And all of these considerations are factors, are things that people really don't consider. In the houses that we are building, the construction site that I'm working on, we have MVHR units, which means that we have ducts going all around the houses, and on the external envelope of the house we have ducts sucking in cold, fresh air and releasing warm, stale air. The internal air quality is way higher. The insulation everywhere means you're not going to be spending a fortune on heating a house, and it means that when you do actually turn on the heating for your house, it's going to stay within the house for a very long period of time because the insulation is so much more effective and there is more of it. In this house, we have ventilation air bricks in each of the rooms. I've got one in my bedroom, which means that in the cold, it gets really cold, but that's the only way to ventilate these houses. But now we've got really efficient, practical ways of ventilating houses without waking up every morning in the winter with a really dry throat. At least that's what I suffer with anyway. It's like sleeping with a window open. And I really do think living in a new build will increase your quality of life because of reasons like this, because of sustainability. I really want to emphasize on the point that new builds are comfier. You know, we've talked about the insulation and the air quality, and then that's easier to warm up a house and the heat stays for a longer period of time. But the levels of comfort have just increased, and there's many statistics and there's many studies to show that people have moved from an old build to a new build and have actually said that it's a lot comfier. And I really think that's something we should take into consideration, because there is a lot of hate online with new builds, and sometimes they deserve the hate because they have contractors and they have builders who make these houses and they rush because they want a quick turnover, they want to make an easy buck, they want to make some easy profit. But when you get a good quality construction manufacturer that actually takes time and care into constructing these new builds, you really get to see what they're all about. You get to understand that they can be high quality. If you focus on the negative, you're gonna see the negative, right? But if you think about the positive, then there are lots of positive things. Like, you could talk about how every new build looks the same, and how the gardens are small, and how they look quite basic, and how metal frame is rubbish. But I do really think that new builds really have a lot to offer, and I really hope this video has opened your mind so far. So now, reason number 7, the final part I wanted to touch on, is how much money you could be saving. So here's an Excel spreadsheet that I've made for the new builds that we're building down on the construction site I'm working on. This is how much money the residents are going to be saving with heating. So on average right now, an annual average, a typical 3-bed, you're looking at £900 spent a year on heating, which is a lot of money. But when you look at the insulation and the frame, and also the inclusion of sustainable and efficient solar panels, and you think about the quality of the foundation so you're not losing heat through the ground, and the quality and the structural integrity of the roof so you're not losing a lot of heat through the roof, and there's a lot of insulation in the roof, in the attic, on all sides of the external walls and the foundation, you get to save 76% on your energy bills because the heating is that much more efficient, because the house is that much more efficient. Look how much money you're going to be saving there. Look, £900 you would be spending. The residents in the house that we're building are predicted to spend £216. That is phenomenal. Next up then, we've got hot water. Now, hot water actually is a little bit more money because the boiler that they use is one that isn't very popular at the moment, but that's just because of the spec. If it wasn't because of the spec of the boiler, that would be around the same price. But as time goes on, as studies show, that is predicted to be even cheaper than that. So that's also worth considering as well. And then we have electricity, which a lot of the time you can't really estimate. You can't estimate how long a light switch is going to be on. You can't estimate how long the TV is going to be on. But we have calculated through research and through understanding the use of these houses and the families that are going to be staying in these houses. Typically, we're spending £555 as a UK average altogether on appliances and lighting and cooking and all the rest of it. but they're going to be saving 25%, which reduces that down to 416. So altogether, to come to a total, the residents that are going to be living in the houses that we're building that aren't passive house, I must clarify, I know I've said passive house saving, but that's just to emphasize the point that these new builds are to such of a high quality that they could be considered as passive house, even though they are not. There's a bit of a grey area there. However, houses that are well built, you could be saving up to £700 on your heating bill and your electricity bill because of more efficient, higher quality houses being built. So yeah, I was really impressed by that, and I thought that was really cool to share. So I hope you've gotten value from it. I hope you found that interesting, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy, please like and subscribe, and if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. Now, of course, there's a link in the video below to show you exactly what you get for £250,000 in the UK. If you're interested, please check it out. That is it from me. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.